Hi, this is Chief Education Officer Bill Olson with another school district update. Well, this is being filmed about the third week in January. It is extremely cold. I want to always remind everyone, please make sure children are wearing warm coats when it's down around 0 degrees. I don't have to tell you that, but I can remember our own kids when they were young, wanting to go out of the house into the bus stop when it was 10, 15, 20 degrees with just a sweatshirt on. And so just trying to keep everyone safe from any wind chill, any frostbite. And so we know that spring is coming sooner rather than later. Can't come quickly enough. Our buildings are alive with lots of activity this time of year. At the beginning of the year, this is when we sort of reset for kind of the second half of the year. And it's very hard to even think of the fact that we've already gone through almost one half of the school year, 5 months worth of education with 5 months to go. Each year seems to go by a little bit faster with lots of activities in the schools. I know that I was talking with Dr. Rowe over at the JMUs last week, and they have 17 after-school activities that are starting up for the winter and spring. The reason I mention this is because we put some emphasis on about a year and a half, 2 years ago, on co-curricular activities, after-school activities, that oftentimes give children the opportunity to pursue passionate areas, and it allows staff who specialize in certain areas to work with our students. And the school board, the budget committee, the prior budget committee from last year and 2 years ago, and you, the voters, were very supportive of that. And so about 150 students are going to benefit from being allowed to have opportunities to pursue areas of interest after school at JMUs, and that extends to our other schools also. I don't want to just limit it to JMUs, but I happen to be talking with Dr. Rowe, and that's what sort of prompted me to mention to you that school day doesn't end when the bell rings at the end of the day for lots of students and for lots of staff. They continue on afterwards with lots of engaging learning activities, and we're very glad to see that. You know, you have supported curriculum initiatives in our school district. When I first started here about 3 years ago, now almost 3.5 years ago, I came from being a longtime superintendent of schools in Massachusetts. And I was very fortunate to have been offered the position here on an interim basis, and then was asked to stay a little bit longer because I think we were doing some very good things to improve the district. And you have been extraordinarily supportive, along with the school board and prior budget committees, to helping us make improvements to the district, one of which is very importantly improvements to our literacy instruction at the early grade levels, actually K through 6. That has been absolutely crucial to the improvement of our school district. And once again, I want to thank you for the support of that, because I know it's every year presents financial challenges to residents in every community, particularly in New Hampshire, where the incidence of payment of taxation is really with the homeowner in property tax. Since there is no sales tax, there is no state income tax, and I'm not necessarily advocating for either of those, but it's particularly difficult and challenging for taxpayers everywhere. And yes, we all complain about paying taxes from time to time, including myself in a community in which I live in Massachusetts. But it's what we need to take a look at. What is the return on our investment? What are we getting in return? What is the payoff to our children? with respect to improvements that we've made to the district. To that end, I do want to make a point before I forget that on January 30th at Thornton's Ferry School, January 30th, from 4 to 5:30, TFS will be hosting a family literacy night. It's very important that you, if you have the time, just stop by and see what we're doing to improve the literacy instruction to our students. We've made lots of progress in the last 2 years. When I first started here, and then soon after, our outstanding Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Amy Doyle, was hired. And I remember Amy asking me what my priorities were, and I said, let me give you my 3 priorities. Most immediate is curriculum, curriculum, and curriculum. We had an aging curriculum that sometimes went back 10, 15 years. That can't happen in quality school districts. And we've made a concerted effort. We've appreciated an extraordinary support that we've received from the school board, from the prior budget committees that we've worked with over the last 2 years. This year's budget committee is still in the review process with us, but also you, the voters, who've been very supportive and have recognized the fact that what we're trying to do is make many, many improvements to the Merrimack School District, which will benefit your children, both now and in the future. So I encourage you to try and attend the Family Literacy Night at TFS. Over the last month or so, I have presented to this current budget committee and to our school board some of the improvements that we've made in this school district in the last 3 years. Because the last thing any school district should do is remain constant in terms of its programs, its efforts to improve. Life is all about continuous improvement, and that very much applies to this school district. And we are absolutely committed to improving the district at all levels, but being strategic about it, because we know that, there may be the old classic economic issue of unlimited wants, but there are limited resources, okay? And we're trying to be strategic. We're trying to establish the most priority of needs to bring forth to the school board, to the budget committee, and to you. I'd like to just spend a couple minutes just telling you some of the things that we've done to improve the district. We've been updating our policies. That's extraordinarily important because the policies are the rules of the road for any organization. We've done a major update to our student handbooks, which is basically the guide that provides all of the parameters for student services, student conduct, all of the information that you as a parent needs to know. We've spent a lot of time with the school board in goal-setting meetings. We hold a goal-setting meeting every June now. We've done this for the last couple of years. It's been extremely productive. We've had an outstanding facilitator working with us, who I've known for many years in the field of education, who is a well-known consultant on a nationwide basis, and author, who has worked with us and facilitated our meetings, allowed us to really engage in meaningful conversations about where we've been as a school district, where we are right now, and where we need to go to provide students with the best education possible and to provide you, the taxpayer, with the best return on investment, and I couldn't be any more serious about that. This is all about making you proud of what you invest in as a public education system in this community. We take that extraordinarily seriously. I'm pleased to say in my previous position in Massachusetts, we were not only from time to time ranked as the best school district in Massachusetts. I worked in Westford and was the superintendent of the Westford Public Schools. But even more importantly to me is we were rated by NerdWallet, which is a legitimate financial entity, as representing the best bang for the taxpayer buck in all of Massachusetts, of all school districts. And that was something I was very proud of. We all worked very hard to make sure we prioritized the needs. We looked very carefully at funding and how did we match meeting the priority needs of students with available revenues. And that's what we're trying to do in Merrimack also. This is not a bottomless pit. We're not trying to spend unendingly. We know where we're strong. We know where we need to improve. And what we're trying to do is just peck away at it a little bit at a time and make those strategic improvements that will benefit your children and give you a better return. So we've drafted the goals each year. We've drafted a 3-year strategic plan. We had about 30 people, both in school district personnel and out of school district personnel. We had a facilitator from the New Hampshire School Board Association working with us for a little bit over a year. And we're proud of the document, the 3-year strategic plan that we drafted. You know, years ago, because I've been in this profession for decades, years ago, school districts used to draft and municipalities 10-year strategic plans. Then that shortened to a 5-year strategic plan. And now it's a 3-year strategic plan. The reason that time frame has been shortened is because the pace and rate of change. There is nothing that happens now that will be relevant 10 years from now. 3 years from now, more than likely, it will still be very germane to what we're doing, very relevant, but not 10 years, not even 5 years. And so that's why that time frame of strategic planning has been condensed to a relatively short period of time. We put a lot of work into it. There's about 7 or 8 different major focal areas of the strategic plan. It is online. It's on our website. I encourage you to take a look at it. And we'll be giving the school board a periodic update on what we are accomplishing that is in the strategic plan in terms of goals and objectives. We've refocused a program in our school district that has been referred to as the Service Learning Program. That was a program that was started a number of years ago by former superintendents and the staff in the district. The original purpose of the program was to provide professional development to teachers to improve their competency, to improve their repertoire of skills when it comes to instructing students, to collaborate with each other, and to grow together to make a better school system for your children. Well, over a number of years, that began to stray a little bit from its original purpose. And we took a look at it. I talked with a number of staff. I talked with our leadership team. And we felt there was a strong need to begin to refocus it again. It began to fund some activities such as co-curricular programs, and that was not its intent. And the one thing that I want to always bring to you is integrity in terms of spending, integrity of programming, integrity of services to students, and integrity of what we're doing from a financial perspective, because I want to be able to defend it to every taxpayer in this community, how we're spending the money and what we are receiving and what you are receiving in return for those expenditures. So we refocused once again. We had a whole new application process, whole new review process that focused back on the original intent of growth and development of our teachers for the benefit of them, for the benefit of our students, in terms of their competency, in terms of what they're teaching, their growth and development in pedagogical skills, understanding student needs and how to address those needs. We're feeling very comfortable about the changes we've made and the refocusing of the program to bring back that integrity that was the original intent, and we want to make sure that we're using funds that are appropriated for the right reason. We've reduced, not reduced, but we've introduced, when I started here, a program called Observe and Conserve. I think you've probably heard me say that before. It's really nothing more than a group of suggestions for staff on how to reduce energy consumption in our district, whether it's fuel, whether it's electricity, whether it's consumption of water. You know, years ago, I had the opportunity to meet with a person who was a high-level official in the United States Department of Energy, and who has authored several books on energy conservation. And I had spent about 4 hours with this particular person and wanted to know at the time how we could reduce the energy consumption in the school district in which I was working, because every dollar that's saved in an overhead expense is a dollar that we probably don't need to request from taxpayers, or a dollar that can be reallocated to a direct instructional use, and that's very important. And so what this particular consultant said was that it's basically human behavior that determines the level of energy conservation that can be realized, that sometimes we get a little bit sloppy in our habits, in our living habits, and the use of energy. And we just need to think about it. We need to constantly think about it. Do we need that light on? Okay. Do we need that extra heater on? Do we turn the thermostat back at night and turn it up early in the morning? At night, do we close the curtains to retain as much residual heat in the building as possible so that it doesn't dissipate through windows or doors? And so there are lots and lots of energy conservation recommendations that we distribute to the staff each year. I'd ask you if you have any good suggestions, if you have any experience in the field of energy conservation, please get in touch with me, because I'd like to have a conversation with you, because my job is to make sure that we spend money wisely, that there is a return for students, that there is a return for you, as I've said continuously. We have worked very diligently, to improve the culture in our school district. You know, those of you who work in any type of organization know that everything in an organization that either is positive or negative begins with culture. What are the norms? How do we collaborate with each other? Do we respect each other? Do we support each other? Do we work well? Do we work in teams? Do we work individually? Do we encourage innovative suggestions and thoughts to come forward, or do we always say no to everything? See, no is a power word. Yes is an empowering word from my perspective. And my mode of operation has always been, I want people to bring forth as many suggestions, whether they're for curriculum and instructional improvements or energy conservation, efficiencies in our school district. I want people to feel empowered to do that. That's how we grow. That's how we improve as a school district. And that's all part of culture. Culture is extraordinarily important to allowing people to know that they are a very important part of the growth and development of an organization, that their voice counts and that voice matters. And I don't care whether you're a superintendent or assistant superintendent, a custodian, a teacher, a school nurse, a food service worker, everyone matters. Everyone matters. And everyone's thoughts and opinions are to be respected. Okay? All part of a positive, constructive culture. As you probably heard from our Assistant Superintendent, Amy Doyle, we've made tremendous progress in our curriculum in terms of literacy, math, science, replacing textbooks. You know, textbooks are, along with materials and supplies, a normal and customary component of school provisioning. We are required by law to provide those essential materials for the conduct of our educational programs in the school district, and that's why we don't ask for parents to send in money for crayons or markers. And yes, there are wish lists sometimes that go home from the schools for paper toweling, for wipies, for this or that, things that we don't normally have in the school district budget because they're not an integral part of the instructional process. You know, sometimes people say, well, you know, we give you your tax dollars and budget in the school budget. How come you're asking for paper towels and you know, cleaning wipes and other types of miscellaneous tissues? Well, those are not part of instructional supplies. And so sometimes, and here's the important part of that also. That also gives parents a connection with the classroom, which is very important. This is not a begging situation. Okay, that please send us your paper towels, your tissues, your wipes, and everything else. Parents like to feel engaged and empowered and part of a classroom culture. And so, there's kind of a method to the madness here also that, yes, that helps us out. It truly helps us out, but it helps you feel good about the fact that you're doing something to help your child's classroom or somebody else's child's classroom. And please know how much we appreciate that. We've also, over the last several years, in addition to the many curriculum improvements, and we're starting to see the results on the state assessment scores. Our scores are continuously improving now because of the curriculum improvements that we have made. And I want to thank, as I said, our assistant superintendent, like our school board, our prior budget committees, and once again, the only reason I don't include the present budget committee because they're in the review of the fiscal 26 budget. Okay, but the prior budget committees and voters, you have supported the improvements that we've needed to make. And the scores, I encourage you to take a look at the scores of our students. They are improving in literacy, in math, and in science. And that's the payoff of our improvements to the curriculum. When I first started here, we had no professional development days, no early release days, I should say, to be more clear. We now have 5. Every organization in this country, every organization in the world provides some degree of training for their employees, and we are no different. Whether it's in literacy, mathematics, science, any of the other course content areas, or technology. For years in school districts, school administrators thought, well, let's buy technology and we'll put it on the desk of a teacher and great things will happen. Well, oftentimes that teacher didn't know how to best use that instructional tool to augment their classroom instruction and to enhance their classroom instruction, to convey and impart more information in a timely manner and engage students. And so we've spent a lot of time in terms of technology, professional development. We've spent a lot of time in the professional development with our staff on literacy and in other course content areas. It's been extraordinarily important and it's had a great payoff. We've done a lot in terms of continuously improving school safety also. When I first started here, I met with the police department, the police chief, and the deputy chief. There wasn't a lot of emphasis placed on updating school security protocols, working with the police. I will say this, that we have an outstanding assistant superintendent for business, for operations and facilities, Matt Chevernell. Matt has been as active as anyone with whom I've ever worked in making sure we provide as much safety to our students and our staff as anyone with whom I've ever worked. Matt and I have worked very well together with the leadership team, with you, once again with the school board, budget committees, and the police department to make sure that we brought certain improvements in building security and surveillance. I have to take a second to really thank the Merrimack Police Department. They have been absolutely outstanding, nothing short of outstanding in working with us to make sure, that our buildings are as safe as we can reasonably make them, given the money that we've had to spend on school safety initiatives. Some of those initiatives we don't discuss intentionally because we don't want people to know what is in place. And so that's why sometimes we don't, and oftentimes we don't talk a lot about school safety initiatives. We've spent a lot of money with your help in surveillance cameras, both inside and outside of the school. And as I said, we have worked very closely, very collaboratively with the police department. I will say last summer also, we had a very extensive training program that we put together, we developed on the evacuation reunification process, with the understanding that if we needed to evacuate a building in an emergency and bring our students to another school facility or evacuation site, and there was a reunification process, first we need to know what we're doing. And so we have teams in each building who are specifically assigned responsibilities to reunify students with parents or guardians. Okay. We have safety, we have communication protocols. We know what we're doing in terms of the messages that we're going to deliver. The working with the police department in public communications. Everyone has a specific role, and they know what to do. And we actually ran through a very detailed, very concise exercise last summer, and we're reviewing that again in the next several weeks with our leadership team. We want to make sure that we do everything to try and protect our students, knowing that any reunification process could take up to 6, 7, or 8 hours. But we know what we need to do, and we know how to do it. And I feel very comfortable about that. So in closing, we've done a lot. We've done a lot, and to repeat, with the school board's help, with the budget committees, and with you. And we greatly appreciate it. Nothing is ever easy when it comes to personal finances and maintaining quality education, maintaining quality municipal services of all types. And please know how much we appreciate it. We appreciate your commitment to work with us to bring constant improvement. Well, that's enough for now. I look forward to seeing you next time. This is Bill Olson. Thank you for watching.